power. Of course, all the talk here is of Jeremy Corbyn, who obviously dissents from US hegemonic power. Do you think the United States will be able to crush his Labour leadership, let alone his British premiership if he's elected Prime Minister?
Well, it looks like he's going to win the Labour leadership election. Now, Corbyn's an interesting fellow. I had experience with him in 2011. He protested in relation to my treatment in the UK Parliament, saying it was unnatural in terms of natural justice for someone to be extradited without charge. It should at least be charged in the United Kingdom. And he proposed amendments which eventually were accepted in 2014 to ban that practice in future. Corbyn, I have thought a lot about this, whether he can survive in a Labour leadership position, taking his historically quite critical line in relation to the UK-US relationship. And to give you an example of just how different that is, a quote from a cable sent by the American ambassador to Washington, D.C. after meeting William Hague, who was the foreign minister in this government.
Lord Hague probably now, isn't he?
Well, he's still an important person in the Parliament. Hague said he, David Cameron, that's the Prime Minister, and George Osborne, the Treasurer, were, quote, children of Thatcher and staunch Atlanticists. America is the essential country. Hague said whoever enters 10 Downing Street as Prime Minister soon learns of the essential nature of the relationship with America. He added, "We want a pro-American regime. We need it. The world needs it." And that is such a world away from where Jeremy Corbyn is right now.
That's our Foreign Secretary in the US Embassy here in central London.
And you might go, well, he's just telling Americans what they want to hear, but look at the degree of language. I mean, they're not complete fools. They expect payback on these promises. And Corbyn is not speaking like this. And there is I think there's a real risk to his leadership long term. Interesting question is if Corbyn could not be kicked out to political destabilization or leaks to the media of intelligence intercepts, his long-term safety. If he kept on a line of saying withdraw UK from NATO, he has already weakened that line, saying, well, it's not the focus now. We need to talk about, what is the role of NATO and so on. Well, fair enough. But if he maintained a very aggressive line of saying we must scrap Trident, we must remove UK from NATO, I would be quite concerned about the risks that he would be intentionally politically destabilized by the United States or something worse. Because we're talking about the relationships between great powers, about the UK's nuclear weapons system, which forms effectively part of the American empire. The US has bases here. Its largest interception base is up at Memworth Hill in Yorkshire. There's over 6,000 NSA personnel working in it directly. It's quite hard to undo that relationship. I think my suspicion is that Corbyn will realise that if he hasn't already, and will play it smart. NATO will be off the agenda, maybe fine-tuning UK's role in NATO, and Trident will be off the agenda. I suspect that it's not possible to win an election in UK unless that is done. But then again, no one would have thought it would be possible for him to be Labour leader at all.
And finally, your safety. I mean, when do you think you and Chelsea Manning, Edward Snowden will again regain your right to freedom of movement?
Well, Chelsea Manning has an appeal coming up later this year, or early next year. But yeah, she was sentenced to 35 years in prison. That's longer for allegedly disclosing information to the media. Now that's longer than any person who committed war crimes in Iraq, including those who raped and murdered a whole family. That's going to take significant political pressure, change in the politics of the United States before,
and for you and Edward Snowden?
Before, say, Chelsea Manning is pardoned. Edward Snowden, it is not safe for Edward Snowden to be in the United States or any ally of the United States, I believe, until the National Security Agency is wound up. It is a core part of the intelligence community. The core part has about 100,000 people in Washington, D.C., 5 million people overall in terms of security clearances, but the inner core, about 100,000 people. That's a very influential and powerful lobby that simply will not accept a pardoning of Edward Snowden. Not accept it at all. In terms of my particular case, well, the pending prosecution is ongoing. They have 5 charges: espionage, conspiracy to commit espionage, computer fraud and abuse, conversion, and general conspiracy. Decades, theoretically, in prison. But it's a matter of politics. It's hard for them to have a big case during the run-up into the election. I don't think probably that's something people want, although you never know. With Hillary, if it's Hillary versus Trump, and Trump's playing the national security Trump card, maybe there is enough incentive then to create a very big case. But what is clear is it's politically impossible to drop it. It's just the State Department, Pentagon and so on are simply such big lobbies in DC that it's not possible for the White House, which can be subverted by any of these big groups in terms of leaking their correspondence and policies to the press and so on, and ultimately literally overthrown if Bush really came to shop with the White House and CIA. It's not possible for them to drop it under such circumstances.
Julian Assange, thank you.
Thank you.
That's it for the show as Julian Assange prepares to spend his 1,178th night under siege in the embassy behind me. Tell us what you thought via Twitter, Facebook, SoundCloud and email. And don't forget RT UK News with Bill Dodd. It's on every weekday evening on the hour from 7 till 10. We're back on Saturday, the morning after Chile's President Michelle Bachelet hosts commemorations for the anniversary of the US-backed 9/11 coup d'etat that saw dictator Augusto Pinochet come to power.